guys, welcome back. Hey, today I'm going to kind of go over pattern recognition, especially since we're at the end of the shad spawn. We're post spawn on a lot of these bass are just beat up and not really wanting to bite. We're starting to get to the end of that to where they're more active. So I'm going to cover what I did on Saturday to catch 19 pounds on Lanier, and this will transfer throughout any of these herring lakes in the area. I hope y'all enjoy and stay tuned. All right, first things first. The shad spawn's almost at its end, but there's still some certain areas like long rocky points, blow-throughs, and marina walls that are still holding the last remnants of the shad spawn. What I did Saturday is we pulled up on a long point that had some of the shad activity, the popping, and I threw an IMA skimmer for a little bit more of that finesse style topwater. And also, if I found out that there was big baits or big herring, I was throwing the Cast OG 20 gram. I caught one of our keepers on the OG, and then the two biggest fish of the day came on the IMA skimmer, which we'll cover here in a minute. The thing is, with the shad spawn, you want to cover water as fast as you can go, and you want to do it fast enough to where when the sun gets up that it doesn't affect you, because once the sun gets up, the fish start to move back out. Again, on the maps, it's long tapered points near deep water, wind-blown points, wind-blown blow-throughs. A blow-through is the saddle or the shallow water between an island and the main land. That's what a blow-through is. And these seawalls seem to be a really big spawning, a shad spawn area. And a lot of times you can tell if they've been there because the water around it is real frothy looking, looks dirty almost, got a film on top. Top waters around this area are a go-to. Flukes and any type of shad imitation baits. Also, something like the slick stick. The slick stick is another one that has caught fish in the last couple weeks during the shad spawn. All right, don't overcomplicate your top water setup. All right, you can see here I've got I'm a skimmer on this medium ghost ducket. This is one of my older rods, but I like to throw braid to mono leader, and the mono leader doesn't need to be any more than 8 to 12 inches long. In my experience, I like 20-pound Berkley big game, and I use a double uni knot. The reason I use a double uni over an Alberto, the Alberto 20 pounds too big, it's going to slip. The FG knot is too cumbersome sometimes when the wind's blowing. So I use a double uni knot, and it's tried and true. I mean, the double uni knot's used in the ocean on these saltwater fish that are 100 times bigger than these 5-pound spotted bass will ever be. So 8 to 12 inches is all you need, and I like 20-pound just because when I set the hook, I feel like I have a better chance of breaking off in that first initial surge than I do anywhere throughout the fight on the fish. So 20-pound double uni knot, and usually it's 20-pound braid, so it's a 20 to a 20 knot. The other I mentioned was the fluke. Especially during this time, I really like a nose-rigged fluke. A nose-rigged fluke has more of a scampering, runaway action if you're sitting there burning the bait back to you. I also like the fluke for another reason, and I usually have it unhooked sitting on the side of my boat ready to go. So when I throw, say, this big cast OG here, when I throw it and a fish comes up, blows it out of the water and misses it, I can reel that in real quick, turn around and throw this into that blow up, and don't touch it, just let it sink, and then you'll just see your line jump. And you can pick up the fish you missed that way. That is a tried and true, through the years, technique to catch those fish that blew up and missed on a topwater. Once the sun got up, I moved to a little bit different areas. I moved more to your offshore humps and your offshore flats close to the river channel. These are the places that you're looking for your brush piles. It was very specific Saturday on the type of brush pile. It had to be anywhere from 15 to 25 foot to the bottom, but it had to be standing vertically at least 5 foot above the bottom. If it was not, it was a flat pile, they weren't in it. But if it was a standing pile with vertical structure, they were there. There was fish sitting on top of it, there was fish sitting in the middle of it, and there was fish sitting on the bottom of the pile. Again, first throw, I'd throw the IMA skimmer over top of it. Like I said, this caught our two best fish, a 5-pound largemouth and another 4.5 pound spot. Throw it over the top of the pile, work it back. If they didn't react to that, that's when I'd kind of go down a little further, and I would throw this 3/8 ounce inline spinner, just your regular old rooster tail, to get it down there a little bit further. Caught quite a few fish on this doing that when they weren't willing to come up once the sun come up. 3/8 of an ounce is the lightest I'll usually go. I really like the 1/2 ounce. I can sling this a long ways. I mean, this is a 7.6 tournament legend glass. The reason I like the glass for this gives the fish enough tip to where they can suck the bait in, and I don't pull it away from them as easy. I fished this on a, let's see, a 6.2 DC Carrada reel. Again, distance. The only problem with this is it's straight fluoro, so it has line memory, so it's always got drag. The best thing about this is it's a small enough profile that you can pull fish to it, and it's got enough flash to let them know it's coming. The biggest thing is really, this is a forward-facing sonar deal. You send it out there, you let it sink down to the depth you want it. The other day, it really worked in that 15-foot range, where the pile was only about 10 foot under the water, and I'd bring this across in about 8 to 9 foot of water right above the pile, and they'd come out and crush it. I'd bring the fish to me, and then I'd get at least one more, and then they would pull out of the pile. But that's when I could pick up the jig and pick up at least 2 more out of that same pile. The jig caught quite a few fish on Saturday. I think we ended up with 11 to 13 on the jig on Saturday. It put a few keepers in the boat that helped us upgrade to the 19 pounds. But the biggest thing I want you to take from this is the 70-foot rule. Try to stay at least 70 feet away from these piles so that you don't spook the bigger fish, the more well-educated fish out of these brush piles. I need to reiterate on this. And this is coming from a shallow water guy that's trying to learn the offshore stuff. It's taken me a little while to figure this out. I mean, I could catch 2-3 pounders in these brush piles, but I could never find these 4 and 5 pound spots on Lanier especially. I have figured out there is a 70-foot rule that is not really ever mentioned, but if you get within 50 feet of a pile, a brush pile, it'll chase those bigger fish off. They get so much pressure on Lanier that they'll actually leave or come to you. So 70 feet is where I found out they don't really know you're there, or they're still a little bit aggressive and will come up. You're bombing a cast 100, 120 feet, okay? And other than reel and rod, which helps a lot on casting distance, the biggest thing for top water and spinning gear to get that distance is a good braid to leader, okay? For example, the fluke, I want a little bit longer leader. This is a 6 to 8 foot leader of 10-pound Invisex, but this is 20-pound cast company, or cast fishing company, 12X braid. The 12X braid is a lot rounder. It's not as square as, say, as your 4X or your 8X braid that you can get from your normal Walmart or anything like Power Pro. And I'm not saying Power Pro is not bad, not good. I love Power Pro. I've flipped with Power Pro for years. Okay? But this 12X braid from Cast gives you an extra 30 feet at least per cast. So a good braid and the correct leader size, because I went over leader size earlier with topwaters. Topwater, again, braid to leader, but my leader's only 10 to 12 inches long. Okay, and I'm using 20-pound Berkley big game. This allows me to get extra footage out of my cast, all right? The more I can get, the better, because the further off you can stay off of that pile, the better. And it seems like the bigger fish will come up. The same goes for the inline spinner. So we're going to recap for a second. From top to bottom on these brush piles, offshore, okay, I start off with a topwater, something like an I'm a Skimmer, the Cast OG, a fluke, some type of hard body swim bait, either that be the Berkley Magic Swimmer, the Slick Stick, something up top to make these fish come up. Then my next few casts, I'm going to go down to them with something, either an underspin or a ball head minnow, or the inline spinner, the rooster tail. And then once I fish that, I'm going to go down to them with either a shaky head, a jig, or a drop shot. This will cover every column of the water on these brush piles to catch these offshore spots, and largemouth, because largemouth are showing up out there too. We caught a 5-pound largemouth out over brush on Saturday. Keep these tips in your pocket, and it will help you catch more offshore fish and lessen the learning curve that I have grinded out with this forward-facing sonar, figuring out what distance I have to be from these piles to get these bigger spots to bite. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you could, please give us a like and subscribe. I'm going to try my best to do more in-depth videos in the future. Right now is a little difficult due to some life situations going on, but hopefully once that's taken care of, I'll be back on the horse and giving y'all at least one video every week. Thanks again. Y'all have a good one.